There comes a time when the veil of illusions begins to thin, revealing glimpses of a reality long hidden from ordinary sight. Some may find themselves standing at the threshold of this awakening, sensing that the world is not as it once seemed. But what few speak of, what ancient seekers understood but modern minds resist, is that the journey toward truth is not a gentle ascent into light, but a descent into the depths of one's own being. The forgotten path of awakening is not merely the discovery of wisdom, but the unraveling of falsehoods we have long mistaken for truth. It is a silent calling, an initiation into mysteries buried beneath the noise of daily existence. To awaken is not to escape suffering, but to pierce through it, to walk beyond the veil where shadow and light merge as one. Every step forward is a step inward, where the self that we have constructed begins to dissolve, revealing the hidden forces that have shaped our very existence. In this journey, we do not merely find clarity, we confront the forgotten knowledge of the soul's descent, an ancient wisdom long whispered among sages and mystics. For behind each revelation, there lies a deeper truth. Behind each moment of illumination, a hidden corridor leading further into the unseen. To awaken is to remember what has been lost, to reclaim the knowledge that was never truly gone, but merely waiting in the depths of our own consciousness. Tonight, we will explore this sacred unraveling, the untold side of awakening, where the true path begins. There exists a belief, almost a legend, that the awakening of consciousness is a mystical incantation, a hidden key that unlocks a realm beyond suffering, a gateway to an existence of unbroken serenity where the soul finds its final rest. Many envision awakening as a sacred refuge, a timeless sanctuary where the burdens of the world dissolve into nothingness. But this is the first great illusion, a veil of deception woven so delicately that few recognize its snare. Awakening is not the escape from suffering, but the revelation of its essence. It is not the dissolution of all trials, but the unveiling of their true nature. To awaken is to step beyond the mirage of worldly comforts and stand before the naked truth of existence. It does not free one from the imperfections of human life. On the contrary, it magnifies them, bringing into sharp focus every doubt, every shadow, every fractured part of the self that was once hidden beneath the veil of unconsciousness. There are no shortcuts on the sacred path. Awakening is not a golden road leading to celestial heights. It is a sacred fire that burns away the illusions of self. It demands an unwavering confrontation with the depths of one's own being, where the forgotten fragments of the soul lie dormant, where the shadow self whispers in the quiet corners of the mind. The unseen forces of the universe do not offer a path of ease. They summon those who are willing to face the tempest, to walk through the corridors of the unknown, to surrender to the dissolution of false identities. What you seek is not beyond you. It is within, and only those who dare to stand in the fire will emerge reborn. Upon embarking on the journey of awakening, one does not step onto a path bathed in celestial light, but rather into an ancient battlefield where the echoes of forgotten struggles still whisper. The first adversary we face is the ego, an entity woven from the threads of countless lifetimes, a guardian of illusion that resists dissolution. It is the fortress we have meticulously constructed, brick by brick, through identity, memory, and pride. To awaken is not to be crowned in radiance, nor to ascend upon a golden throne of self-importance. Those who embark on this sacred path, seeking validation, shall find not exaltation, but a chasm of disillusionment. The ego, like the cunning trickster gods of old, Loki, Hermes, or Tezcatlipoca, seduces us with whispers of grandeur. I am special, I am beyond the veil, I have transcended. Yet in the cold, unyielding gaze of the eternal, these proclamations dissolve like mist before the rising sun. True awakening does not grant dominion over reality. It is a descent into the abyss where the self is unmade. It is the crossing of a threshold where the walls of perception crack and crumble, revealing a boundless ocean in which individuality is but a fleeting ripple. Like the seekers of lost civilizations, those who gazed upon the ruins of Atlantis or wandered the labyrinthine corridors of the pyramids, one must be prepared to lose oneself entirely before glimpsing the hidden truth. To believe awakening is an elevation is to be ensnared in the grandest illusion of all. In truth, it is an unraveling, a surrender to forces beyond comprehension, a silent passage through the veils of existence where the self dissolves into the great unknown. And there, in the vastness, in the nothingness, one does not find superiority, but humility before the infinite. There exists an inevitable unraveling, a dissolution of illusions that accompanies true awakening, an unraveling so profound that it shakes the very foundation of one's being. This disillusionment is no gentle whisper. It is a storm tearing through the carefully constructed halls of the mind. For ages, we have clung to beliefs, to absolute truths woven into the fabric of our existence, yet awakening demands their undoing. One by one, these pillars crumble, revealing the hidden corridors of the self, long sealed, long forgotten. To awaken is to step beyond the veil, where shadows stir in the dim glow of newfound perception. The moment consciousness expands, it is as if a sacred lantern is lit within, illuminating not only wisdom, but also the specters of all we have buried. Those who dare tread this path soon realize that the darkness they fear is not an external force, but the forgotten echoes of their own being. There is no way forward but through, for the shadow is not merely an absence of light, it is the guardian of truth, waiting at the threshold of transformation. Many seek to flee from this reckoning, clutching desperately to an idealized image of their spiritual self. But no soul can transcend what it refuses to see. What lies in shadow does not vanish. It lingers, weaving itself into every thought, every choice, every encounter. And so the seeker finds themselves at the crossroads where they must decide, will they turn away? Or will they stand before the mirror of eternity, gazing into the depths of all that has been forsaken? The ancient ones tell of a wanderer who once sought the great wisdom of the sages. He traveled across distant lands, scaling mountains where the wind spoke secrets of the unseen. At last, he reached the gates of enlightenment, but a spectral figure stood before him, a reflection of himself, bearing every sorrow, every shame, every forgotten piece of his soul. The sage's voice echoed in the silence. You shall not pass until you embrace what you have abandoned. And so it is with us all. To awaken is not merely to step into the light, it is to gather the fragments of our being and walk whole into the unknown. To face the shadow is to step beyond the veil of illusion into the corridors of a forgotten temple where echoes of ancient knowledge still whisper. Here, beneath the surface of ordinary perception, lies a force both formidable and untamed. The shadow is not merely a reservoir of suppressed traits, it is the guardian of a deeper, primal energy, the life force, the chai, the essence that flows through all that exists. Unknowingly, we squander this energy in the futile attempt to bury what refuses to be silenced, but that which is hidden does not wither, it waits. It gathers strength in the depths, shaping our reality from the unseen, influencing our thoughts, our emotions, our very being. Many perceive shadow work as an auxiliary practice on the spiritual journey, a mere refinement of self-awareness. But in truth, it is the journey itself. To confront the shadow is to embark on the path walked by mystics, alchemists and seekers of old. It is the descent into the underworld of the psyche, the same journey taken by Osiris through the Duat, by Persephone into the depths of Hades, by shamans who traverse the veil between worlds. And what do they find? not despair but revelation. In the darkness, we encounter the hidden dimensions of the self, the envy, the jealousy, the arrogance, the insecurities we believed had been conquered. But these are not burdens to discard. They are raw elements awaiting transformation. The shadow manifests not only within, but through the mirrors around us. Other people, our relationships, the world we perceive. Those who stir deep emotions within us, whether through fascination or repulsion, are reflections of what remains unresolved in our own depths. Jung called this projection, yet the ancients knew it by another name, the art of the mirror, where the external world is but a shimmering reflection of the inner realm. What we suppress in ourselves, we see in others, mistaking them for the source of our unrest. But the wise know that the external is merely a teacher, revealing what the soul has yet to embrace. To integrate the shadow is not to yield to chaos, nor to justify darkness, but to retrieve the lost fragments of our being. Resistance strengthens its grip, turning it into an unseen ruler over our psyche. But through recognition, we reclaim dominion over ourselves. The alchemists spoke of the nigredo, the blackening stage of transformation, where the dissolution of the false self paves the way for gold to emerge. The very traits we reject, anger, fear, desire, contain the potential for power, wisdom, and healing. When wielded with awareness, anger becomes the guardian of boundaries, fear becomes the teacher of courage, desire becomes the map to our soul's longing. The great civilizations of old, Egypt, Mesopotamia, the lost cities whose names are whispered in the wind, knew this truth. They built labyrinths not merely of stone, but of the soul, chambers where initiates would confront their own darkness before emerging reborn. For the true seeker, there is no ascent without descent. The journey is not to flee into the light, but to enter the depths, retrieve what was lost, and rise anew. And so, the choice remains. Will you resist the call of the shadow, clinging to illusions of purity? Or will you, like the sages of old, step beyond the threshold, into the vast and mysterious night where true power awaits? In the stillness of the deep night, as the travelers of light approach the gateway to awakening, an ancient force stirs. The ego, the unseen gatekeeper, rises from the shadows, weaving its intricate web of control and illusion. Like a silent sentinel guarding the soul's imprisonment, the ego trembles at the touch of truth. For in truth, it holds no power. It is not the master of the universe, but merely a mask we have unknowingly worn to shield our fragile selves from dissolution. Within the mystic realms of consciousness, the ego is not merely a concept. It is a force that operates in secrecy, whispering to the mind, convincing each of us that we are separate fragments, adrift from the sacred flow of the cosmos. It does not wish for you to pass through the threshold of truth, for that would mark its demise. And so, it resists in every way possible. It whispers sweet illusions of your uniqueness. It stirs the fear of losing identity. And when all else fails, it fabricates an illusion of enlightenment, a counterfeit awakening, where one believes they have reached the summit, yet in reality they have merely exchanged one prison for another, more insidious and refined. The ego resists unity with the universe, like a speck of dust striving against the infinite spiral of light. It clings to self-images, to names, to titles, to the carefully crafted narratives that sustain its fragile existence. But true awakening is not an expansion of the ego. It is the dissolution of the chains that bind the soul. Only when the traveler dares to face the gatekeeper, to look into its hollow eyes without fear, does the revelation emerge that they were never truly separated, that they were never mere individuals, but waves upon an endless ocean. The ego fears its own dissolution, for it does not understand that in merging with the infinite, nothing is lost, only expanded into the boundless truth. And when the seeker truly steps through this threshold, there is nothing left to lose, nothing left to protect, only the absolute freedom of becoming one with the source of all existence. The spiritual journey is not a golden stairway ascending into infinite light. It is a labyrinth of shifting realities where the soul must wander through the abyss before it can rise. More often than not, this path reveals itself as an enigmatic crossing, where the traveler must step beyond the veils of illusion and into the sacred unknown. This journey has long been foretold in ancient texts, whispered by mystics, and etched into the stars. The wise of old knew it well. They called it the dark night of the soul, a passage where everything once known dissolves, and the seeker is left standing in the vast silence of unbeing. St. John of the Cross first gave name to this sacred trial, but its presence stretches far beyond one tradition. It is the moment when the soul, stripped of its earthly certainties, plunges into a chasm where time bends and meaning vanishes like mist before the dawn. Those who enter often feel a profound spiritual exile, as if they have been cast adrift in a boundless sea with no land in sight. What was once a radiant path becomes an endless twilight, filled with echoes of forgotten truths and shadows of the self they can no longer recognize. The great mystics have long understood this trial. Thomas More, in Care of the Soul, spoke of it as a sacred purging, a process through which illusions are burned away, making way for the pure essence of being. But those who endure this trial do not pass through it alone. In the quiet of this darkness, omens begin to emerge, an ancient symbol in a dream, an inexplicable whisper upon the wind, the sudden flicker of light in an otherwise unbroken void. These are not mere coincidences. They are the unseen hands of fate, guiding the traveler toward transformation. Paulo Coelho, in The Alchemist, reminds us that the darkest nights are the ones where the inner flame burns the brightest. And so, this is not merely a descent, it is a passage, a rite known to the initiates of old, where the soul must dissolve before it can be reborn. The pain is not without purpose. It is the fire that tempers the steel of the spirit. Like the ancient rites of purification in forgotten temples, this night is not a punishment. It is the threshold to wisdom. And so the question remains, will you resist the abyss, or will you step forward listening for the whispers beyond the veil? There exists a hidden doorway on the spiritual path, not one that leads into light, but one that descends into an invisible labyrinth of the self. It is the door of false transcendence, where one begins to believe they have risen above the world, above those still wandering in the veils of illusion. But the moment one thinks they have escaped the ego is precisely the moment it grips them most tightly, cloaked in the robes of enlightenment to mask its true nature. Within the mist of this false awakening, the ego whispers its seductive lullaby. You are different. You have ascended beyond the sleepers of this world. Yet, this is not revelation. It is temptation, a golden chain that binds the soul in the very illusions it sought to escape. In The Revolution of Consciousness, Osho warns that when enlightenment becomes a status, a badge of spiritual superiority, it ceases to be awakening and instead becomes another prison of the mind. Picture a seeker, one who has spent decades in pursuit of truth. After years of meditation, discipline, and inner work, they reach a moment of illumination, a rapturous expansion of consciousness, a dissolving of self into the infinite. Yet upon returning to the world, a subtle pride takes root in their heart. I have seen what they have not. I walk the path they do not yet understand. And so they tread the earth no longer seeing people, but only those who are lost, those who must be awakened. But in that very moment, they are no longer the awakened one. They are simply another traveler lost in the grand illusion of superiority. The ego is a mirage, but it is a mirage that knows how to disguise itself. It does not merely tempt with worldly power, but seduces with the illusion of spiritual elevation. When one begins to believe they are climbing the ladder of consciousness, they may, in truth, only be walking in circles within a maze constructed by the mind itself. Like a serpent devouring its own tail, the ego spins in its own self-admiration, forgetting that the true purpose of spirituality is not to rise above others, but to dissolve into the infinite, to merge with the silent, boundless current of existence. The journey toward the light is never meant to be a solitary ascent. Yet, when the ego infiltrates the path, it begins erecting invisible walls. The wall of distinction. This one is awakened, that one is not. The wall of separation. They do not see what I see. They have not walked where I have walked. But the moment we step into this trap, we are no longer the traveler. We have become the gatekeeper of our own illusion. In The Path of Love, Jack Cornfield observes that the inward search for truth can be a double-edged sword. It can lead to wisdom, but it can also detach us from the world, making us forget our connection to humanity. One can become a saint in their own mind, yet grow distant from life, seeing the world through the lens of judgment, and when this happens, the soul does not expand. It contracts like a lonely star drifting into the abyss of its own light. Remember, light holds no meaning unless it is shared. A lamp does not shine for itself. It shines to illuminate the entire room. Likewise, a truly awakened soul does not stand above others, but extends a hand in understanding, recognizing that within every person, awakened or not, a spark of the divine still waits to be kindled. Enlightenment is not a throne to be claimed, but a lantern to be shared. Those who seek it as a prize to be possessed will find only the mirage of superiority, a veil obscuring the truth. True wisdom is not measured by what one accumulates, but by what one surrenders. Service is not a duty. It is a sacred ritual, a cosmic dance of giving and receiving. The hands that heal are the hands that have known suffering, for only through the weight of experience can one extend genuine compassion. Many believe awakening is a destination, a summit reached through discipline and devotion. Yet in truth, it is a horizon that recedes as one advances. The deeper the seeker treads, the more vast the path becomes. Every revelation is but a threshold to another mystery, each layer of understanding peeling away to reveal yet deeper truths. There is no final illumination, only an eternal unfolding, a divine invitation to step beyond the known and into the vast, unknowable expanse of being. Those who cross the threshold of consciousness must confront not only celestial wonders, but also the spectres of their own making. The universe is not merely a vast expanse beyond, it is a mirror, reflecting both our divinity and our darkness. To awaken is to behold both with equal reverence, for within the void lies the seed of infinite light. The shadows we fear are but fragments of ourselves, longing not for exile but for embrace. Only by standing before our own reflection, unflinching, do we come to understand the true essence of being. The journey of consciousness does not promise a final resting place, nor does it guarantee relief from struggle. Instead, it beckons the soul forward into the unknown, whispering secrets of existence that can only be understood through experience. And so we walk, not to arrive, but to dissolve, not to conquer, but to merge with the great unfolding of all things. May this message find you where you are meant to be, and may it guide you to where you have always been destined. If this journey speaks to your soul, step further into the unknown with us. Subscribe to Path to the Unknown and continue exploring the mysteries that lie beyond the veil. Until we meet again, stay curious, stay aware, and embrace the journey. Thank you for watching.